Good evening, everyone. My name is Gregory Wallach. I am the professor for the Game Development and Application Development Program here at NCTC. We're coming to you live from the Corinth campus, from our classroom right now, and we're welcoming you to the NCTC Direct for 2024. For those who don't know, the NCTC Direct is our public presentation of student projects. This includes our first year projects, so students including the first year, would be the first year of our development program, and also our senior capstone projects. This is a public presentation that's required part of their degree. And it's good for their portfolio. I mean, when we're done with this presentation, this YouTube live stream will be a YouTube video, which they'll be able to put in their portfolios. You're going to see several games today in several different genres. We actually have two games in one genre, and they're very different. And that's going to be interesting to see how two different groups of students took upon the task to go into that genre. You'll see that very shortly. The first three projects are going to be from my first year students, the first year class, and then we will see the last project, our capstone. With ado, I'm going to just get into the games themselves, and we're going to go right into, and I got to change that. There we go. So I'm going to introduce the Survival Suites team.
Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Ramirez. This is
Trevor Rose.
And our third member is Dustin Crane, who isn't here, and our game is called Survivor Suites. Our game is inspired by Vampire Survivor, where your goal is to survive, and you play as the chef.
There are three main enemies in this game. The Cookie, which is a swarm type of enemy, very easy to kill, but very easy to be overcome by them. The Peppermint, who is more of a bruiser, is meant to deal damage and take you time to kill. And then the Cake, who is the tank of the enemy set, who does a lot of damage, is particularly slower, and is able to withstand much force from the player.
These are the assets we made in our game. Some of them were created by our team member Dustin, and some were made by me. Some of the assets we have here are the Cake, the Cookie, the Peppermint, textures for the ground, and a cracker. I made the map inspired by Neapolitan ice cream. In the map, you'll find candy cane bushes, gingerbread houses, and cracker bridges.
Some of the technical challenges we had was mainly with getting a flamethrower to work, getting consistent damage while not being too overpowering, the nav mesh system to work into the AI for the enemy.
These are the weapons we have in the game. From weakest to strongest, we have the rolling pin, a short-range melee attack, the spoon, a mid-range melee attack, and the marshzooka, a marshmallow bazooka that fires marshmallow projectiles. Then the flamethrower, the most effective weapon. Unlike the previous three, the flamethrower was modeled by Dustin and coded by Trevor. And that concludes our presentation. Any questions?
Okay, let's go on with the present. So let's just. All right, you guys are good to go.
Right now we're showing off the marshzooka, the flamethrower. Flamethrower has a bar to kind of limit its power. There's a lot of enemies. Cookies are meant to be the main enemy that swarms you. Here we're showing off the spoon, the mid-range melee attack. And again with the flamethrower. There's the cake, the strongest opponent. And that's it.
The Marsh Suzuka is basically fire as quickly as you can. There's no limit, but it requires a lot of accuracy with the mouse to really be effective. And with the spoon, it's meant to be more of a massive clear, but it attacks pretty slowly. The rolling pin is a really quick damaging one if you can get it timed just right. And the flamethrower. There we go.
Any questions with the team?
What inspired you to base a game on sweets?
That would be our other team member, Dustin. He had another game idea that involved the theme of sweets. But when we decided to go through the Vampire Survivor direction, it was like, well, we need a theme to stand out a little bit. And so we thought, what would be the opposite of hunting vampires? Colorful, tasty sweets.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. So for our next team, they are basically their team. So for our next project, we have a team of four individuals, and it is a beat 'em up. Is the best way to describe their project. And I'm gonna let them take over.
Hi, I am T. Koch with Will Adamson, Chancellor Patton, and Alex Sledge, and this is our project, Mask Your Felines. The game is a 2.5D style beat 'em up with a focus on flat 2D characters in a 3D environment. And as you can see here, we have some rough concept sketches here while we were in the planning phases. A gang of cats has taken over the local mall and are causing chaos after they heard that all the masks were already sold out. It's up to this mysterious vigilante to go and stop them. And as you can see here, the sprites and animation were all done in Sprite, a piece of pixel art software. Animations require multiple frames, export as sprite sheets, as you can see there.
I wrote the player movement code, and with it, the player can freely move around the level. The player can jump to reach the flying boss and avoid the enemies on the ground. The camera is a separate object from the player, and it's scripted to follow the player around.
I'm Will, and I made all the enemies in the game. Every beat 'em up needs a good variety of enemies, and I made a classic grunt enemy. It's not too hard to take down. All he does is walk up and punch you. A charger enemy that will charge towards the player if you're too far away. And a flying boss that will fly in the air, and your goal is to jump and pop his 3 balloons, then he'll fall down and become a boss enemy that also just walks at you and attacks you.
My name is Chancellor. I am responsible for the UI design of the game. More importantly, the help bar. The help bar is an important element of all beat 'em up games. It shows where you and your enemy health react. And in this game, the help bar changes color and sizes to represent the state of the player. If it's green, if it's above 50%, it's yellow if it's below 50%, it's red if it's below 25%.
Okay.
Demo time?
Yes.
All right. Just get it away. All right. Mask. Actually, let me restart it. I'm just making sure the controller is working. So there we go. Hello, what just happened? Where's the music gonna play? That's a good question. Oh, it's trying to go through the speaker. It's trying to do the. Yeah, you're good now.
Okay.
All right, let's start the game. It's trying to go through the speaker on the controller, ironically. All right.
It's left difficulties. Here we have the game here. As you can see, we have the charging enemy. If the audio worked, it would be making the comical cartoon running sound effect here, like the Flintstones.
Something happened with the.
No, you left the game screen.
Oh, thank you.
So you have basic 3-hit combo. The enemies will flicker as they disappear here. Flicker away over here. So the charger will be going after us at a brisk pace. These little guys here will watch you as you walk past back and forth. We'll go back to a neutral position as you leave. So you go here, we can see the boss floating on high here. Make sure you use your jump attack to reach him. Fall down. Begin chasing you at a brisk pace. Oh, big damage. He's gone. Nice work. And that is the game.
Okay. Any questions from? Any questions? All right. Oh,
question?
Yep.
What part of the game was your favorite to make?
I really like doing the animations. They were a big blast to create and making them look as smooth as they can be, you know.
What's that's from the previous. Move on. All right. Thank you so much. All right. All right. So our next game jumps into the psychological and supernatural. Maybe they weren't very clear which way they went. It is has a horror theme to it, so just a warning for those who are not or a bit squeamish. One of the interesting things about this particular team is that they used a system called Ink from the studio Inkle. This has been used on several games such as 80 Days, I think, and a couple other games from. They've won awards for this dialogue system, and it's a well-proven third-year party for people who are looking to do dialogue in games at this point. So they've took it upon themselves to use that system in their project. So I want to point that out right now. That makes their game stand out very much uniquely. So I'm going to give it up to them. Normal Day crew. Oh, let me get the title right. There we go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are Helix, conformed of Patrick Price, Kevin Romero, Antonio Rodriguez, and Jennifer Torres. And this is our first year project. Introducing Normal Day.
The concept of the game was based around the paranoia seen in movies such as The Number 23 and the intriguing cases of the Seventh film. You play as John, a detective. With many works and crime scenes, time has not been kind to him. As his mind starts to deteriorate, he is pursued by a dark, shadowy figure. With this case being the latest one, John has further succumbed into his mind. Will he figure the case out, or will he fall into insanity? John himself is a grizzled man, waiting for the chance to finally retire. However, he's been living a second life, one as a vengeful vigilante, killing the murderers of his cases. The problem is, he doesn't remember such adventures. Could it get any worse for him? But as tradition dictates, a good detective needs a good partner, and as such, Sean has taken that role. With his family being in the police force for generations and personal struggles found within himself, he has remained an outcast to the rest of the department. A perfect fit for John.
Most of the assets for this game were made in the 3D software Blender. Blender is a free 3D computer graphics tool. The 2D assets were made in Photoshop.
Yet, a story by itself can only go so far. Which brings us to the next point, the gameplay. This prototype is point and click. I can't say the video game adaptation of I Have No Mouth, and I Must Scream. One of the biggest strengths of the prototype is its implementation of the ink system from Inkle Studios, which allows for dialogue trees, which are a core feature of this prototype, and it must also be very noteworthy that Ink, as our professor kindly put it, is an award-winning software solution for dialogue and storytelling, being the cornerstone of games such as 80 Days and Heaven's Vault, both by Inkle Studios themselves.
If we had more time to work on the project, we would have improved the movement. The prototype lacks classic movement of point-and-click games. As of right now, it takes you to a location immediately after you click, as well as the UI design. The UI is basic, using only the default Unity assets. We wanted to add dialogue boxes and character portraits. However, due to time constraints, it was not possible to implement. Thanks so much for listening. This concludes our overall presentation of Normal Day.
Game time. Alright, so here is Normal Day, the entirety of the prototype. We have credits here for who did what and the site for the music that we used in the background.
Before we continue, I must let you know that we will be voicing the characters for this presentation.
Please enjoy. What do we have this time?
Something I've never seen before. The victim was a murderer of the previous case you worked on. Do you think it's work of the vigilant?
Don't know. I'll figure it out. You look sick. You should take the night off.
All depends on the boss.
He's out today. I'm the boss. You should head back home.
Will do. Thank you, sir.
What's up?
How are you?
I'm doing fine. You should focus on the case.
What's the situation?
Didn't Joe just tell you that? The murderer got what he deserved. That's it.
Where's my partner?
He's waiting for you at the crime scene. He's been waiting for you to arrive before he's touched anything. Might be a good idea to see him.
Goodbye.
Later.
What's up?
How are you?
Not great. The divorce has taken a toll on me. She's taking the kids, man. I don't know what to do. I tried to go to marriage counseling, but her issue was me being out so late. She doesn't understand.
This is your life.
Exactly. My family's been in law enforcement for 4 generations now, and I've always wanted to follow their footsteps.
You know you don't have to. You know that, right?
I gotta prove to my father that I can be worth more than a punching bag.
You sure you're alright?
Yes, so let's find this guy.
Completely sure.
I'm fine. Let's change the subject, please. What's up?
What happened?
I think the killer opened the garage from the outside and grabbed the saw. After breaking through the door, the killer stuck the killer stalked the girl around the house until she either ran out or some fight happened. But we know they ended up out here.
Regarding forensics?
I'll let you know when we find out.
A good hypothesis so far.
What's up?
Goodbye.
See you at the station, man.
And then this would basically open up different interactables. Like if you interact with the body, my character would say, I have the report. I'd rather not go into the details again. Poor woman. And then we could also interact with this hacksaw, and it opens up a new dialogue tree, such as this one. This was the murder weapon? Who would stoop so low to do this?
Someone really messed up.
You said it. What do you think?
It seems like she used it for self-defense. She likely got a hit off the attacker, but no blood was found. Maybe it only left a bruise.
Back it up for evidence. And then... What? What's this doing here? Am I being framed? What the hell is going on?
Everything alright over there?
Yeah. I just need to kneel down. This case is getting to me.
Alright, man. Just checking. I'm gonna go get coffee. If you want, you can meet me at evidence processing. I won't be gone long.
Back to the grind. Someone still hasn't fixed that stupid light. Maybe I need to submit that to maintenance. As a noteworthy moment here, I wanted the game to start breaking down as John's mind starts breaking down. Kind of like how in Arkham Asylum, in the third Scarecrow fight, the game fake breaks itself. So I wanted to work off that and see how I could do off that. It's too dark to see anything. I need to turn the power on in the basement. And there's our shadowy figure. Oh God, what have I done? That is basically it for the prototype of Normal Day.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, we actually got some questions from chat. One comment, basically they liked the horror story, and that one quote, this story goes pretty hard, as one chatter has said. A couple questions our chatters have asked about the fact you made one of the characters divorce. Was there any particular reason for that?
Well, I mean, in every single detective story, at least somebody has to be divorced, am I right? Not trying to be harsh or anything, it's just something that popped up in my brain. I was like, if we could make this man divorced, or at least go through something like poor in his life, it would at least bring an emotional weight to the character for when he ultimately dies at the end of the prototype. All jokes aside.
So we've got Chancellor. Come up and speak to the mic.
Yes.
T, you can come up next.
So the supernatural elements. What make you think of the supernatural elements of like the shadow figure?
What I thought about it was, I wanted his mind to start deteriorating so he could start hallucinating things. And that shadowy figure was one of the things that he could hallucinate in the game And to go further along with the future improvements, I also wanted other little shadowy monsters that they can find, and not just that one. But I wouldn't really call it the supernatural. I would just call it something playing tricks with the mind.
Oh, okay.
So like psychological.
Got it, like Silent Hill.
Yes, very much like Silent Hill.
Right.
Now I'll admit this is less of a question, more of a statement. I just wanted to say that I was frankly very engaged, and I was sad to see it cut short.
I know, I really wanted to work more on it, but I just didn't want it to be it was a big, ambitious project, and I just had to write at least a little bit of the game, because I would love to delve deeper and actually write a full script for this game, but I just wrote this little segment, which the segment was supposed to be sort of towards the beginning of the game, while everything else would show his further decline after killing his partner on accident. And I also wanted to add at least a little bit of choice and different endings with be careful what you say, because people may actually be following your murder cases. So thank you for that.
You guys got a reference to Disco Elysium, which has the same psychological element that you guys have been playing with as well. So that's a good. The fact that chat is giving you that types of props, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Indeed.
Again, I want to remind everyone, these are just game demos. They feel. I mean, how long you've been working on this? Only 7 weeks so far.
Yeah, 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah, give or take. You guys, maybe an 8th week, because you guys were organized pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it really has been top 7 weeks of work on this so far, and this is where, I mean, this is 7 weeks of work. Who knows where you could take this with another months, with normal development cycle. So, all right, thank you.
Thank y'all for y'all's attention.
All right. So again, I want to point out that again, these have been about 7 weeks projects. The Suites team had 3 members, and then we've had 4 members on each of the other teams. About 7 weeks total of development time. So those are the 3 first-year projects that are coming out of my the game development program this year. I want to just point out that this is that you're going to see these students again. Again, this NCTC Direct is an annual event. We have this is our second event streamed on YouTube here at NCC. We will see several of these students that have just presented these 3 projects again over the next 2 years as they move on to the capstone, the future capstone project. I just want to note right now that the game development program is a new program on NCC campus, the Corinth campus specifically. We have basically demolished the building and rebuilt it essentially curriculum-wise, and it's going to be an all-new program starting this fall. So we're going to see students who will be going through that the whole program as proper as designed starting again this fall. Again, so we're what to expect next year is bigger, brighter, stronger projects as we go on. I want to introduce the last group who's going to be presenting tonight. This is going to be our capstone group. They also took, like the Suites, they also took on the Vampire Survivor genre and went in a completely different direction, went in a completely different art style, and they have produced something very different from that first project. They had a little bit more time, I would say 10 to 12 weeks total of development time. You guys specifically I worked with you faster, sooner to get you guys came together with your project much sooner. So that is basically one of the advantages you guys have. Going forward next year, this project will be a year-long project, so we'll see much bigger, grander projects come out of this capstone group. So, with further ado, I'm going to introduce the capstone team. And there we go.
Hi, I'm Jacob Stevens with Rihanna Ashley and Will Adamson. This is Voxel.
Voxel is a bullet heaven roguelike, which is the inverse of a bullet hell. The goal of the game is to survive 10 minutes and to defeat increasingly difficult hordes of enemies while you level up, increase your stats, gain new extra attacks, weapons, and so on and so forth.
The animation is voxel based. Everything was made in Magica Voxel, and then because of technical limitations between Magica Voxel and Unity, everything had to be essentially exploded into like different limbs and then rebuilt in Blender and rigged and animated there and then put into Unity.
I made all of the enemy types in the game, all the enemy AI, and applied Rihanna's animations to them. All these games need a diverse roster of enemies to defeat, so we have our basic enemies that just move towards the player, the crawler, the zombie, and we have some stronger enemies, the slime, that have different effects. The slime dies, it splits into 2 smaller slimes and also drops a slime pool on the ground where it died. The archer will move in range of the player and then shoot projectiles towards the player. And then the knight will walk towards the player. When in melee range, it will activate a warning indicator and then thrust at the player after a delay. And the sorceress is our boss enemy, and she will summon the knights during her boss encounter and then create damaging zones below the player that the player needs to move out of, or else they'll take damage.
I worked on the progression system for the game. Every time you level up, you get a random. You have a random pool of upgrades. 4 are selected. You choose one. 3 upgrade types are currently implemented in the game: of weapon unlock, weapon upgrade, and player upgrade. Player upgrades, upgrading basic player stats. Weapon unlocks, giving you a new attack type that attacks automatically, and weapon and upgrades, upgrading those weapons that you unlock. Basic functionality does exist for implementing even more upgrades and items to add to the player later on potentially.
All right, let's get the game going.
So here we are with Chan's finest hour. Voxel. And we're just going to get going here. So the game starts out slow. You'll just have normal crawling enemies come towards you. That's about it. And then they drop little XP, and then you get an upgrade. And that's the entire gameplay loop. So we're going to go with the arrow unlock because it's pretty good. And then, now the timer says 20 minutes, but we actually have the game running at 2 times speed, so it's actually 10. We're not going to have you sit through 10 minutes. We have a little cheat to speed up the time. But so far, that's the entire game. These waves will get increasingly more difficult as time goes on, so we can speed up the time here. Let's set it to, I believe 14 minutes is just before the first special wave spawns, the 40 slime wave. I believe they should be coming in any second here. Might have been minute 12. You can speed up to that as well. So this is the gameplay loop, and you just get stronger until you beat the sorceress at the end. That's the entire game. I believe the slimes are coming in now.
We've got some questions in chat already. What do you envision the next steps in the development for this project?
It would be to iron out bugs such as, I'm sure you've seen it, the knight enemy kind of freaking out whenever he's attacking. He does that when there's enemies next to him. I'm not quite sure why. That's one of the first things. One of the next things of actual development would be something like meta progression, something to keep in between runs. So, you actually have a reason to replay the game.
On top of that, adding more weapons, upgrades, and more things to add on to the player than just your basic stats and weapons potentially is another thing that we were looking at.
I have a question, chat. If you've got a damage reduction buff, what happens when the damage reduced is below 1? Can it go below 1?
It will be 0. So I've had friends play test this, and they damage reduction maxed, and it comes out that, yes, it is very easy to have damage reduction be more than the damage you're taking. So something we would add is a limit to how many times flat damage reduction and percent damage reduction get offered in the stats, which isn't a hard thing to add, but we just didn't have time to do it.
Yeah, currently a lot of the upgrades are just, they loop themselves for the sake of this demo build.
They're asking what the yo-yos do because you haven't unlocked it yet.
That's true. I will unlock it next time I see it.
Yeah, go ahead and grab that. You will see how the yo-yos work momentarily, hopefully.
You can explain what they do
Yeah,
right now.
so how the yo-yo, there it is. Yo-yo, it rotates around you as if you're spinning a yo-yo around you. And it hits enemies. It does damage upon entering the same area as an enemy. So while it moves around you, it's damaging any enemy that it hits. So your main scaling for the yo-yo ends up being your speed and damage. That way, it's hitting more enemies and hitting them more times.
Another question from chat: do shields block projectiles?
No, but I thought I wanted to add that. I also wanted to add a slam knockback, potentially, but just did not have time and was more concerned with getting more functionality in.
So that's something that you'd be working on later on.
It's something I'd work on later on is is potentially blocking some projectiles or knockback, some sort of additional effect.
No, you're getting swarmed right now. Is that an event you guys kicked off?
I have sped up the timer, so I've triggered the zombie event, which cancels the normal enemy spawn timer, but spawns like 80 zombies on the screen or something like that. And then I've also gone past the night event, which also cancels the timer, and then spawns like 20 knights at you. So there's a lot of enemies on screen at the moment, just for sake of demonstration time. So normally it wouldn't be that many enemies on screen. It looks a bit hectic with that, but
admittedly, it is smooth playing as you're going that fast as well. Yes,
increasing the game speed to 2 times was a necessary change at the end of the day, I feel. The game just plays better when it's this fast, so we had implemented a fix to have the timer actually display the correct time. Oh well. So we can get around to that.
A known issue in the game currently.
Yes. It's a lot of goons. Good thing they're all going to despawn in 2 seconds. At the end of the day, we'd probably have them, if they despawn or get destroyed when the timer ends, they wouldn't drop XP, but that's all right. And here comes the boss enemy that we currently have. She only has 2 moves, wherever she is. She's spawned somewhere. Let's try and find her, probably speed this up at some point. Oh. She's around here somewhere. She's very shy.
This is the first time that's not happened.
Yes, this is quite strange.
Yeah, this is very much that's never happened before.
This is quite an issue that I've never encountered before.
Hit the timer button again.
I have.
Huh. Interesting.
Huh. Well.
Yeah, that's never happened before.
We can do this though.
Yeah.
Let's do this because this worked last time.
Yeah, it did work last time.
We're just gonna skip to the end and hopefully make her spawn this time.
There she is. I call that an issue with the time skip that she didn't spawn. But here she is. All she does is teleport around, summon a damaging zone, and there she is. She summoned enemies. Now, I'm quite underpowered for this, so I don't think I'm going to win. But let's just pretend I did and defeated her. You would win. And that's the whole game.
Another question from chat. What was the hardest part of making this game?
What was the hardest part?
I think we all dealt with different problems. For me, it was definitely just trying to figure out how to get the voxel stuff into Unity and animated, because Unity doesn't support frame-by-frame animation unless you write a script for it. But I didn't want to do that. I want to make it like the flow easier on myself. I wound up rigging everything, so.
On my end, it was definitely the positioning of some of the weapons. The arrow especially gave me trouble. Technically, the arrow only works at its current angle value. If I modify the angle value with an upgrade, it is no longer in the proper place.
The hardest part for me was probably just getting the base enemy script working and then constructing each attack they had. The most difficult one being the bruiser's damage zone. But once I had that down, it's pretty easy to make again. So everything right now, if I wanted to remake an enemy with similar moves, it's almost just copy paste at this point. So
Someone asked, what was the most fun thing you did in this project?
Honestly, I had a lot of fun making the procedural generation, which you don't really see a whole lot of unless you restart the menu or restart the game. All of the extra stuff like the cars and the oil spills and stuff, it's all procedurally generated and random each time.
I mean, I just love working with progression systems, so that whole thing was really fun. It was fun for me, but also just having the yo-yo weapon there. I've had the idea to include the yo-yo weapon since the beginning of the game. I don't know, it just makes me happy.
What was the most fun for you?
Most fun. It was making the enemy AI. Having them work to a level that was usable was very satisfying. Getting them all to do what I want them to do. I think that's the most fun part for me.
Someone asked about why you're in a parking lot. That's more of a function of we don't have enough tiles. Yeah. If you had more tiles in the procedural generation system, it'd be more than just a parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, parking lot was because we didn't really have a theme, so we just said, okay, we're going to put it here. It doesn't really matter for the game.
Any of you in the room want to ask a question? Come up to the mic.
What were your main inspiration for to use the sword as the main weapon?
The sword is a classic combat piece, classic weapon. If you're making a melee weapon, your mind is usually drawn to a sword as the first thing. That's about it.
Okay.
You got comments about how well you were kiting the enemies in game. I have to mention that from chat. That was you guys got a lot of props from chat. A lot of people liked the style, liked the game. Let's see what else. People were yelling out for you to take the damage reduction earlier.
Yes,
Yeah.
those are people that have play tested the game for me and told me that damage reduction is quite good.
And we've got indeed good work from several people in chat. Again, Foxhell, Major W. So, thank you to those who are in chat right now who've been asking questions. And all right, let me jump in. So that was our last project of the night. That was our capstone project. I want to say you guys look really polished. Rihanna is the big one on the art style. Huge props. We've got, again, Jacob did the bulk of the work on the progression system, and then we had, again, as he indicated, Will was getting all those enemies, bringing everything that Rihanna and Jacob together. It was basically where Jacob was where the rubber meets the road on this project a lot of the times. Will was the rubber on the road of this project and getting a lot done. I want to congratulate this capstone group. You guys produced a very good project. You look like you look like something that could go onto Steam. You guys, again, as collectively, the three of you own the copyright to your game. So what you do with it after you leave here is really up to you. And go for it. I mean, there's no. I mean, put it up on Steam. You know, if we can talk about maybe getting it on the Steam, or put it up on itch.io. I mean, that's how Vampire Survivor started. They just started on itch.io, and people were playing it. He got donations, and ultimately went on to Steam. So I want to thank everyone who has been in chat, who's been watching so far. Basically, we've got almost about 40 people who have been watched this video live throughout the night. I want to thank all those who have been in chat, those who have added have taught in chat as well. You have added to the presentation in a way that I have not seen before. Well, we had a few people last time, but you do a lot more of you this time. And it made this presentation more engaging and more interesting than I've done in previous times going on YouTube. Again, I am Professor Gregory Wallach. I'm the full-time faculty here at NCTC for the Game Development Application Program. Tonight has been a demonstration of what we have been doing over this past few months here, this is an example of where we are right now and where we'll be moving forward in the future with our program. This will be a yearly event. We will be back next year. So those of you in the first year projects, you're on the clock for the capstone. Those who are taking the capstone course, you're on clock because you will be on, again, you'll take the capstone course and then the capstone production course. So you are on the clock. So start thinking about what you might want to do. Take a look at what this capstone group did, because they've set the bar for you. They're here, it's playable, it's fun, it's polished. The bar's been set. It's up to you to raise that bar, and I know you'll be able to do it. You literally have more time, so you will be able to do that. For everyone here at NTC, I want to thank everyone who's been in chat, everyone in the room, all the students. I want to give commendations to all the students who presented tonight, because you have worked your behinds off, and it shows. And that's, this is for me, my source of pride is when I'm able to show the world what you've been able to do. And you presented well, you presented great. Your projects showed that you came to the table and brought something. And there's not much else I can do other than watch as you get your work done. And I've helped, but it's been all of you getting the work done. So again, from NCTC campus here in Corinth, Texas, I want to thank everyone who's been watching, and have a good night.